Hi, my name is Destrous, and here's my another video. I'm planning to make an RTS, but first I had to admit that this will gonna have a long preparation, and also because I'm lazy and procrastinating, I don't know if I'm able to make games for now. But in the long run, I'm just wanting to try this in the first place. So let's take a shot of discussing my personal project. I call my RTS as All Totalitarian Armies. So, what is this RTS? So, what kind of RTS is ATA? So, it should be a deploy RTS, means most of every units are preset unit and not meant to be trained in barracks or factory. So, special or common units can be created at factory-like buildings. Wait. There is a hindrance in my work. Okay, not just meant to be trained. So, in this kind of RTS, I know it's actually many kinds of RTS that you could play with deploy already, because like Red Alert, they already have units inside. But in the first place, I want my game to be have no spawn point already. I want players to choose where they're gonna spawn in the map, so they could make a strategy. That is the main gameplay. I could make a simple standard game, but I want the difference of my game from other RTSs. They have no spawn point. So, like, I heard from Pericel Op that some developers making from Unreal Engine a game that you don't have a spawn point in the map, and the map have like Age of Empire style, that you could make a random mice map. So that is so much better than pre preset map, because if a map is very simple to exploit, the game is just not repetitive also. That's what I like in Age of Empire. And also to the game with ano game like uh, Battle Royale, because you have the authority if you have a nice decision in the first place, not just because it's preset. Also, I'd like to add city building, so they could establish building at the mid game. I don't like in the first game, because I want the game to be look like as a real uh, military military RTS. It's sci-fi, but uh, I don't want just my units or the playable character will just pop up, and no one knows why they here or why they fighting. Like, it creating an illusion or uh, an idea that players have no own world, and I don't like that, because nihilistic person, I don't like I don't like what they thinking about games. So I want to be the games to be as much story driven, even it's a skirmish game. So, but the problem is, most of the time, they make a spawnable area for units, so it will establish a represent representing that the player is not actually dead. So I think to prevent that, I must create other ways to not the play will end because just the player have no representation in game, because most likely in RTS you need a spawn point and also representation of player in game, so the game will not end and determine that the game is not over because the other player is not dead. So another is economic survival. Just like Age of Empire, I don't like to be the game looks like uh, mm, StarCraft, because they end because of gas or what do you call it? Mineral depletion, unlike other games like Command and Conquer or actually Age of Empire, but still they could survive because of marketing strategies. They use market and also trade and farm, so they could survive. However, in StarCraft, players couldn't survive, so the game ends. And I don't like that. I want players to play as much. Also, I want to make a game that in single player you could play it as much as you can. Like if you place a challenge, you will not just end it. You will try it until the end. That's what I want. It's like competing with your life. So, another is hazard maps. Inspired by Tiberium and weather effects of CNC and hostile creature that could make stop the players to totally control the map. Because I'd like to think that, example, mods, the tanks may be stuck in there, or the tanks in Tiberium, if they get struck by lightning, they die, and also radiation for infantries, so they can't just spamming their infantry. And also I like to see that there's a hostile enemies in the map that were supposed to be in other faction, so it creates a different feel when someone kill you infantries that it's not your enemy, and it's just tactical and lucky's advantage for me. So it's a game, not a tournament. I don't want to make a tournament or competitive match. I just want to make a game with immersion, because before the game become competitive, just like Valorant, they put many immersion on it. A pretty example for me is just like Call of Duty. They have so many immersion. You could do many things, and once they apply it in multiplayer, they could do many more things. So I like my game to be focused in single player for now. So in the long run, I would make a separate release of a multiplayer that will not affect the single player. So the update is will not be destroyed, and also I could extend my franchise from it, unlike other games that they completely ignore everything after they make a one. I'm talking to you, CS. I'm talking to you, Bulb. Why do you taken down the CSGO? Why? I mean, if you have more games, it's hard in multiplayer to manage. I I see that. However, this just not completely destroy the game. Just make it unplayable, so we could still mod the game to be a community driven game, because it's still a game Don't throw away your games, Valve. So, must continue. So I'm gonna implement the deploy RTS. To make deploy RTS become possible, the UI and the units in the building is dapat separate sila. It should be separate. So, my explanation is, for the building, wheels with function to perform upgrades or creating things, just like in the console porting in Age of Empire. I'd like to see that. So, they are not on the sidebar like in the StarCraft. So, I think that is more flexible for me. So I could tweak anything from that class. I don't know, because I'm just starting in coding from now, and I'm also a dumb and I don't like math, but keep still trying. So one unit can be summoned in the battlefield when the game set credits up. Battlefield with the UI, where they act like a Clash of Clan cards. Yeah, I think the deploying of Clash of Clan card style is you could separate their action. You could deploy like a Clash of Clan cards, but you could separate the action when you're using it. So, ang mangyayari, it will happen, you could choose what character you will deploy in the first place. So by the way, you the only class that is deployable is infantry. So most of the so it must be organic life form. So if it's not organic life form, like metallic, they could be recycle or recreate or created in the factory. So that is what I think. So the UI for creating things and using their skills will be have a separate UI for deploying, and separate UI for using the building and the units. So I think I'd like to say that buildings and movable object is the same class or attribute with the entities that will perform action. So para siguro mas gusto ko gawin minimize. So even the building is stationary, they will perform like a unit. Because why? I don't like buildings to be just I think just like Warcraft, I guess, but it's different in in Command and Conquer because of their game engine. I don't know if how I gonna implement that, but they also obtain a place, so they can't just move out in place. We will see that if I manage to code the game already. Because I don't know what I'm talking about. So here's the vision. However, some skills is not unlocked, you cannot use or have them unlocked until the upgrade, just like StarCraft. Uh, I want the macro, what do you call that? Uh, Macro commanding in RTS to be separate in micro micro interface. Why? Because when I see in the red alert and they using macro and micro, they separate uh, in the Age of Mythology. It has significant effect for me that when I using the macro skills, uh, I see it's my own, but in micro skills I wanted to see the only the effect of that unit that could do. So I don't like to see that like in StarCraft or Warcraft that they have the same UI, so I can differentiate better the effects. It's really hard time for me because in 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 creating a tank, in however a tank, I don't know if I need to train the tank. I think the game must be all recyclable. I think just is what I think. So and the only place that I could summon is the mac is from macro card, and the skills of building like transformation, defensive formation is separate. Is that make clear to me? Ah, I think that's clear to me. I think that is actually not new in RTS, or maybe because I'm trying to make a difference, because I'd like to see that I could train I could only see the specialized skills inside that unit, so it will extend depend on their like the will settings will extend depend of how much it can do. So yun kasi that is the problem if your skills is only the button only have a example have a 12 uh, button that you could use. I think the wheel is much convenient if if, if using if using building. I think that ganun. So I think to make this work, the building will use will UI, will interface, then skills of skills of units. So ang building is deployed class, and movable class is units, and units that which is movable could use it in the macro interface. That is what I want. So everything that I will use is in the UI interface is based on skills, and everything in the will interface is based on upgrade and training. Ganon. Okay. So, how I'm gonna implement the city builder? So, yun na nga. Meron tayong unang problema. We have a first problem in my plan. I'm gonna make a mobile construction vehicle. So, if they unpack and country pack. So they assign the ball as a unit, and also could be a building if they unpack or deploy. Also, some units may able to building structures that aren't repackable or depends on their skills. I like to see that in the game. Just like they making walls, factory. Why factory? I don't like what they do in RTS when they just delete the factory and sell it. I want for them to lose the factory. Also, the power plant. It's hard to make a power plant also. But you could make that. But you couldn't just replace it that and repack it. However, the factory, I will allow it. I think I will make a unit that you could repack the factory. However, the power plant, I will just make a generator unit also. So the power plant will still remain unpacked. And also depends as you can unpack and repack. And because this is a sci-fi RTS also, not just a tactical or modern warfare, it's a sci-fi. It could be unpacked and repacked. Especially in artillery. Artillery is supposed to be, when anti-aircraft is supposed to be repacked and repacked, so they could perform many things. However, the walls is just destroy or build and destroy or just completely abandon. I want the players will just sell the walls and then Royal Jenkins. However, the farm, it's not repackable. It just unpack. It just they make the farm just like a power plant. It's stationary. Also walls. Factory and defenses is not stationary. So stationary is walls and power plant and defenses. So the implementation of economic survival. This is a pretty big thing for me. The problem is the most RTS when the losing team is always gets annihilated because too much unit advantage despite of having better economy. The enemy side, imagine this, the enemy side has too much advantage because they have a large massive army and still have a very good economy. So in counter, if units is heavily dependent on buildings and materials to be still operational, like in Warcraft, there is high keep. So they will have a stock of high to maintain to survive their enemy, because I don't want the unit just camping the players, because in real life, if you have a siege or a riot, you will need resources to stay and fight. So power plant, we still have a mass communication. So just in case, I like to implement the power plant that makes a massive effect in army, especially in radar. and control. So just like in other game that now they implementing, there's a significant impact in commanding in RTS if your power plant is down. So your communication will be disrupt and you will have a hard time to control your units. That is what I'm thinking. So another is farm and factory. These two things is very efficient and should be significant in every faction, but also have a this is the standard combo in every RTS. you should have a farm and a factory to create the economy. So, for units to be healed and repair and upgrade, pwede silang ma-repair or ma-upgrade. Pero, they can be a repair or upgrade, but they can't be unpack. They can't be repack. And just like the Mongols did in Age of Empire, I just don't want to run away their farms and say that we don't have any problem in resources. So I want them to have a problem in resources. My players to have a problem, including me, because I'm a player too. So another is bounty and neutral buildings. Just like in Warcraft, they have a bounty and neutral buildings, and also in Command and Conquer, they have a lot. These bounty and neutral buildings give not so much massive advantage, but no, significant advantage in mid-game play, because they have a special effect in your economy, not also an economy in the battlefield. So they will make more immersion in the game, because in real life you have a neutral buildings, you have civilians, you know. So the game is tended to be not fast game over. It should be fast paced, but not easy to lose. Just that is what I want. For multiplayers, but in single player. So every game in multiplayer is not just because of economy, but because state of mind and exhaustion. So economic survival, if we back in this here, I want to create an hazard. So in the first to surrender will lose, like a chess. However, if the credit is down to 0 and no one units will still in the battlefield, or a beacon, that is what I want. That is my plan. If there's no units or a beacon that will create connection to your units, still you lose. But still, this beacon will determine your willingly to not surrender, and scores will be determined the winner also. So they will not just draw if the player will not surrender in the long run. He will just accept his fate. He must quit the game. But in the other side, I'm thinking that they should have a limit in game. So because health is very important also. They could set in time, I guess the maximum is 1 day, because I really like that. And also I like the one to make an endless mode, so player could make a city builder, just like in the game that the diplomacy is not an option. I really like that game. So implementation of hazard maps will force player to adapt their gameplay based on the environment, and not just use very standard strategy games in RTS. The mass warm and ugly base building. I don't really like that. Especially in AOE in Age of Empire 2 Definitive Edition. At least in Age of Empire 4, they have unique things that they could do. Terrain hazards. See, in terrain, there's I have three categories in my hazards. So first, terrain hazard. Uh, there's sea, so they just can't go there. Or I think what bodies of water like sea and river, they just can't go in there because they are on attack. They could be slow, just like muds. And another is spawna. Some is might could inflict poison, or lava could inflict a high amount of damage and also waste. Fragile power plants. So your base, including your base, is a hazard. And armory and mines. Why armory? To replace the barrels in Command and Conquer, I will just say that they have a gun and the collection of uh, ammo and they're near to be supplied and still operated. They will have armory and also mines that will have a significant advantage from the World War II and modern times. And nuclear bases. What is the well, if the power plant destroy, the nuclear bases will be will also allow to include in the battlefield or take an effect. uh, I'm thinking of more better sentence to explain that. But I can't. So another category is hostiles and civilians. Every creature could harm and affect units in a certain area. Just like in Warcraft. Not much in Command and Conquer, but still, I have a lot of fun time playing Command and Conquer. They have civilians just ah, oh, don't kill me. Then suddenly, AK-7, AK-47 is for everyone. So another is weather. A fun mechanics where could player lose their mass units and scratch their head. Like in Tiberian Sun, bruh, the Iron Storm is a mess, but also a fun play to see. I like to see that in tournaments. So the player just, I just die in a noob because of this Iron Storm. However, this will have a perfect representation of why there's a lucky people and just not lucky people. Not just pay pay to play, not just like that. I want to be lucky if you win. ATA RTS lore. ATA or All Totalitarian Army is a dystopian world where people start to raise their totalitarian army to survive the world crisis and start a new world. So, in this case, the activist thing and that they keep fighting for, they will have a private army and also the government will take an action to that. Because I know to make a great story, not just in political, I want the game have a serious relationship in the story. So as many artists just focusing in many rays like Gates of Pierre, and also Stormgate. They the only thing that they missing in the game is hmm chaos. Because for me, they fighting like just uh they just like NPC to me. Na they like a neutral characters for all. Unlike before. Imagine in Dune and Command and Conquer and Warcraft, they have an actual fight because they fighting each other because they have an interest. The problem in RTS today that I see, if they are fiction, the only thing that they focus is if the enemy is bad or not, or the enemy have an evil plan. I want this game to see that this both faction and all the faction have own interest, own problem, own toxicity, and own great value. And that is a very rad part for me. That's why I really like Mental Omega. They really did the all faction have a good uh, reputation. For me, huh? For me. Mental Omega, both faction have a good reputation. There's no good or evil. The that will put just in the frame. You will say that there is good and evil based on their action, not because the character only. Because that is the problem of the most RTS. I really like that Dune have different faction interests, and that is the only problem in Command and Conquer. At least not in generals, but in in Tiberium Wars, you clearly see the enemy is the Nod. However, the red part is they like the Sith in Star Wars, the Darth Vader of the Command and Conquer. Bruh, they're very cool. However, still, they're a cult, and a cult is evil for me. In terms, but they're cool. So, however, the monster, even my game is gonna focus in human side to create a big conflict in the in diverse gameplay. I want the characters to be diverse based in Earth. I don't want to pretend that there's other Earth. I know this could possible to be another creatures, but as I want to make focus, the story that I want to make in this RTS is focused in humanity. Only in this world. So I don't want this just to extend in another universe. I just want this to be inclusive in this universe and inclusive in that planet and inclusive. So the game has significant uh importance of the story because they will not just throw the character to another universe and then another life. I don't want that. I want the place for them to be uh serious situation, and they have a strong connection in that place, not just because they could just live in other place. That is what I want the earth have a significant role in that RTS. because in Tiberium Wars they have a significant role. However, in Warcraft, the Azeroth just left alone, and then the other side is the StarCraft. They just let alone the other planets and then go away. But that is their story and lore. However, this game is just focused in the humanity. So the most part, the the battlefield is the Earth and uh no other planets, because I don't want to create an assumption of other planet, because it's hard for me, as just I only have a few definition and understanding of how words matter and works. So it's much easy to me to uh, uh, base my objects and subjects in the story. So less explanation in the lore and tawag doon, world building. So I will just based on the mechanics and the effects. However, monsters and alienated creatures is still present on authoritarian army, but not main called faction, but part of the faction. So I don't want to see a whole race that only dedicated to be a faction. Why? Because I not just only create race discrimination, I also create a standard that is hurt my eyes, because there's only a limited characteristic that I could apply if the creature is fiction. Just like how people portray the old animals, the god, and the fantasy creatures in the old times because of their understanding, and still the modern world or the present still have a blurry vision and other creature. So I just want to mix the creature in the lore and not an actual representation of a race. So I think that's all for now. In the future, I'm planning to make a visual recognition or visual representation of my development in game. But I think for now, it's not a game development. I think this is a game idea construction. So if you want to I don't know if you want to subscribe, but if you like the idea to know my future projects or future plan of making this game, just give this as a like, I guess, and also subscribe if you want, if you just want, because I just want to post this on YouTube, so I will not just make the game on my own. I want to share to people what is my dream is, and also what they could do to make enjoyable to make another enjoyable game. This is a rough part, but now because I'm still doing this and I start to doing this, I think this may help me to not be lazy in my school. So okay, here we go again, and I'm Destrous, and bye.